Ah, hello! We're live! I was recording us getting live. There's actually people here already. That's great news. I think that this donut is slightly melting under the studio lights. It looks kind of flat. So, yeah. Are people here? Please put F in the chat if you're alive. just to make sure like actual humans are here and can hear me and everything. Hello. Okay, Annie is here. At least have one person that has made it in. This is very exciting because everybody is stuck at home. So the fact that I do this on a Saturday evening for people in North America doesn't really matter right now because no one's going anywhere. So we're all stuck at home and it's just like me on a Saturday night, any Saturday night where I don't go out. That's just everyone right now. Hi! Even more people! This is very exciting. Approaching the Crest is a really intense name. I feel like there's a lot going on there. It feels like a heroine in a like 18th century Scottish romance. You're like approaching the crest. Well, hello folks. So there's an update on the donuts. I was really pretty excited about, I was delightfully excited about trying out a like Shamrock special edition whiskey glazed vegan donut. But I spent all day being like, should I go to the donut store? So the donut store is so close to my house that I don't have to like, I cannot touch anything and go to the donut store. So I was sort of like, okay, if I go to the donut store, I can still continue to like mostly isolate as long as I don't like touch anything that anybody else or like if it's not crowded. And I was waffling on whether or not I was going to do it, combined with the fact that I haven't had any sugar all month. And I was like, do I really want to break it for sugar for this donut? And then in the end, I figured it's the end times. Might as well have a donut. But I went down and the donut shop was in like packed. It's not very big. So if there's like 5 people in it, then everybody is standing like a foot away from each other. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't go in there. So I like backed up. And then I set Aaron down and was like, go get me a donut. And then in addition to having run out of the donut, apparently it was completely empty when Aaron went down. And so I said, just no donut. But then Aaron came back with a donut for himself and I wanted it. And then I went down and got myself a donut. Aaron, can I show your donut? So Aaron got this donut and Aaron doesn't eat refined sugar. So I don't really know why he got this donut. But it's a breakfast donut. It's a breakfast donut, but like I don't think he realizes how much sugar is on the outside of it. I think he thinks it's like a quiche or something, or like bread. But it is. I've had this one before. It is like sugary. So this is a donut, and then on the inside is tofu scramble, and then on the top is like a tiny little hash brown. Hopefully, this is seeable in the lens. So yeah, it's a really extra savory donut. So it's not my favorite. To be fair, I have only had it when it is like day old at Breakfast on the Bridges, so it might not be the best representation. And then this is one of my favorite of their donuts. It's called a Portland Fog, and it has like Earl Grey. Yes, tater tot. That's what's on the top of it, not a hash brown. And then this one is a Portland Fog, and it has like an Earl Grey topping, and then it's like a coffee donut, and it has cream. And I've already had this one on a live stream and discovered it's not good for eating on the live stream because this cream will get on your nose when you eat it. And no one tells you it's on your nose. Yes, you're probably not supposed to lick your finger and put it in your mouth, but I've washed my hands like 3 times since I came back from the donut shop. So I'm very worried about that donut shop going out of business because I love having a vegan donut shop in the neighborhood, and they're in a space that has lost a lot of businesses. Like a lot of businesses have either gone out of business or decided to not have that location. And so when they moved in, I was like, oh, I really want this one to stick. And they're just a good small local business. And so all small businesses are getting hit so hard right now with that thing that happened this week where the US finally woke up to the fact that there's a pandemic going on. And I'm really concerned. So I know a lot of people, if you're a tip worker, it's really scary right now because people aren't coming to businesses. So I tipped like 200% on this donut, figuring like, well, it's only a $3.75 donut, but I tipped $8, so that seemed right. Yes, Laura said it's the end times. Do not live with disappointment. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty excellent pun right there. Can I eat the donut now? I haven't had any sugar for 14 days. I'm all fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Are we back up? Because I'm a workaholic, it doesn't feel appropriate to just eat a donut by myself in the room. I think the weird thing is like taping it and eating it underneath studio lights makes it way weirder, right? Yeah, I'm not sure why we went out briefly. How is everybody dealing? Is everyone self-isolating or quarantined? I feel like people in other parts of the world have been aware of this, or like, I don't know, people that were really, like Brackenjoy was saying, like, I was freaking out about this a week ago and what was going to happen, and everybody was sort of like saying it was just like new mom panic, and I was like, a week ago I had some awareness, but I feel like everything got really real. Started to get real on Wednesday, and then 2 days ago it got super real. Because I know the market crashed originally on Monday, and so a lot of people are like, the market crash really symbolized like, oh, this is getting real. But it didn't really feel like it till Thursday. That's when Portland started to like, nobody was going into work and everybody started to just, the governor, you know, said that all things were getting shut down. So Rain Queen is definitely self-isolating here. Aaron Abernathy says, Aaron Parecki summons and we show up. I'm so glad to hear that Aaron summons and you show up. Welcome to this live stream where we are supposed to talk about money, but I feel like all we can really talk about right now is coronavirus. But I think we can talk a little bit about the economy and what's going on with it because of coronavirus, because if you pay attention to the market right now, things are wild. Like, it's been all over the place this week. My biggest advice to everybody was don't look at your 401k. I saw a really excellent tweet that was like, that supposes I knew how to go look at it in the first place, which is fair. But I really don't recommend even logging in to your investment accounts this week. Like, just maintain perfect ignorance of them. I think following the markets right now is really... Essentially, there's more and more algorithms involved in running the market, and part of the reason there's so many algorithms involved is because of people like me who sing the praises of index funds as a great way for people to be retail investors and be, you know, kind of well spread out in the market and get started in investing without playing retail investing. And one of the things that happens when did you really just put the Dow Jones on the screen, Aaron? Don't look at that. That's terrible. I can't block it because I'm green screen behind it rather than the other way around. Can I like punch it off the screen? So anyway, algorithms are essentially doing a lot of the trading right now, and because there's such a large percentage of the market and so much of trading is automated, that's part of the reason that things are so volatile this week. Like, the definition of the markets this week is volatile. And they halted futures trading. Usually futures trading starts on Sunday. They're not going to start it back up tomorrow. They're probably going to pause it for another couple days. The markets have been doing like kind of these like random rallies where like Trump will say something and the markets will either drop or they'll like slightly go back up. We are kind of finding that people do think they have found what the bottom of the market is, because there's been a couple points at which the market has dropped low enough and then quickly the market has rebounded by about like 7% of what it's lost. which is not huge when it's losing such massive amounts of points every day. But one of the things about that is that that's essentially both algorithms and investors, active investors, that are thinking, oh, this is the bottom of the market. I want to buy stuff while it's on sale. And so then it'll rebound up a little bit more. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Annie Thompson said Falcon Punch. Do you watch Wheezy Waiter, or do other people punch falcons like this? I haven't met like non-YouTube people that watch Wheezy Waiter, so that's very exciting. Approaching the Crest said that they looked today, and it was their regularly scheduled mid-month update. Yeah, so I didn't even update my net worth at the end of... I only tend to go check in on my investments once a month. And for a while, it was like really... that like it was really exciting, because one of the things that was great about it is that my net worth would go up even if I wasn't saving a lot, because the markets have been doing so well for a long time. So then at the end of the month, I'd be like, well, even if I didn't save a lot, I'll log into my 401k and I'll like see how much my investments gained. And like I knew that was like a fool's errand in the long run of believing that was a thing I could look forward to every month. But knowing just at the very end of last month how we were already starting to see the fallout from the coronavirus, I was sort of like, gonna stay a little hands off. So wait, Annie says that this Falcon Punch is from Super Smash Bros. I always thought it was from Wheezy Waiter. Now I feel like it's yet another piece of like thing where I thought I learned it secondhand, and so I attributed it to someone, and then it turns out it was from this other pop culture thing I never got. Oh, I'm just so sad. Aaron says, I'll be honest, because I'm a 40-something man who lives in Northern Ireland, I don't know anybody here who has investments. It's not a standard thing here. Fascinating. Well, Aaron, to be fair, I personal finance is... I have a personal finance radio show. I talk about personal finance. But people in Ireland have pensions, which is to say investments. And I mean, hopefully people have pensions. I'm not sure what the like saturation is generally in Northern Ireland for pensions, but like I know in the UK and Northern Ireland, pensions is essentially the version of a 401k, and those are invested. They aren't something where you actively invest it, but they are actually a thing where it is invested in the market. I don't know if Northern Ireland got hit as hard as Ireland did during the last recession and the housing crisis, because obviously, like, this is one of those things where I don't know the macroeconomics of it, because I know that your markets are tied to the UK's markets because colonialism, but I'm assuming the housing markets are more closely tied to the Republic of Ireland. I don't know. If you can answer that, Aaron, I would love to know that. So yeah, Aaron says, sure, we have pensions. I have one. It's probably miserable. I mean, that is investments though. I think that's one of the things that like I want people to understand is that, that their 401ks, their supers, their RRSPs, those are investments. And I think it's really easy to think about investments as something that like rich people do, or something that like some class that is not, that has nothing to do with a normal person, has like, but at the same time, like they are actively invested in the market. That's how pensions make money. That's how they gain value. And so they are investments, and you are someone that has investments, even if they are in a pension. Aaron says, it totally did. My brother's house dropped like 45% in value. Yeah. So, and I think the UK generally, like Britain in the UK, I think had less, they didn't drop quite as much during the last housing crisis because of some of the ways that their housing market was structured. And I think Northern Ireland, probably because you're obviously not located on the same island as Britain, I think maybe the structure, that's one of those things where I wish I knew a little bit more about the specifics of the Northern Irish like housing market, because I know a fair amount about what happened in the Republic of Ireland during the last recession, and how really dramatic it was for Ireland. I will say Ireland bounced back a lot better than a lot of other countries that suffered as much in the last recession. So, yeah, this is not the most eloquent macroeconomic rant I've ever gone on in my life. Anyway, I love that there's multiple other people that have heard of Wheezy Waiter. That makes me very happy. I've been watching Wheezy Waiter for like 10 or 11 years now. So, Aaron says the economics of Northern Ireland are very different from the Republic and the rest of UK. We have a much lower average salaries here, but also lower cost of living. Yeah, I wonder. Does some of that have to do with colonialist history or armed occupation history? Would love to read a book on this. I will have to admit, a lot of what I know about Northern Ireland, besides like having actually gone to Northern Ireland, is mainly from the show Dairy Girls and a bunch of depressing German films that I watched on Irish Rebellion. So I have not read enough macroeconomic literature because Northern Ireland is such a relatively small market overall that there's probably just not a lot of economic literature that comes out of Northern Ireland. Although I imagine most of it would be in my language, therefore stuff I could actually read. Because that's one of the issues that comes to macroeconomic research, is that you either have to be a big enough country or a specific enough country to be studied by the really big macroeconomic research arms like IMF or something like that, or you have to have a strong and big enough economist culture within your own country that you end up with a lot of papers, and then they'll usually be in whatever your local language is, so they don't tend to get shared far and wide. Like Wales has actually, despite being like super tiny, they actually have like a fair amount of macroeconomic literature, but a lot of it is in Welsh. And therefore does not get heavy circulation around the world, because Welsh is not a common, it's not a common second language for people. So yeah. All right. What else do we want to talk about? I was thinking it would be interesting to talk about different ways that we can support people in what is like a massive crisis right now. Aaron says, I appreciate we're financially insignificant. Certainly the rest of the UK makes us feel this way. Yes, I'm sorry. Colonialism sucks. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. You're not financially insignificant. You're just not large, but that doesn't make you insignificant. And the UK has been making a lot of bad calls right now. The rest of the UK has been making a lot of bad calls right now. So, you know, let's just leave that. Let's just leave that alone and move on from politics that I'm not actually that well versed in. Okay. Do people want to talk about ways that we can support everybody hit hard right now? Because so one of the big things that's happening in places where people are doing self-isolation, and Portland and many other states has bans on gatherings larger than a certain number of people. In New York, it's larger than 500. In the Portland, it's larger than 250, or in Oregon, it's larger than 250. All of Broadway was shut down. And that's one of those things that sounds like it sounds kind of like, oh, okay, so some big concerts or whatever are shut down. But it represents such a large portion of the performing artist economy. And there are so many musicians, booking agents, gigs, venues, and even like my local alt weekly newspaper had to cease print publication. They say temporarily as of today, but that's because their revenue dipped by like almost 80% this week, because their entire revenue streams are based off of people advertising for things that are people gathering together, bars, venues, concerts. And they had to lay off like a large number of their staff. And they're a local newspaper, of which is already a dying breed in this country, and exactly what we need in times like this, because where are we going to go to be able to get updates on that are locally relevant on cases and, how hospitals are doing and how we can support people. So It's just a really big, stressful thing. And a lot of the general ways that people get social safety net support, so food banks is an example, or, free clinics, the kinds of things that are part of the social safety net support are exactly the kind of things that are either shut down or are putting people at really high risk right now, because they involve gathering a lot of people together. So some of the things that I've seen people do, so Portland has actually, there's an anarchist mutual aid society that is, people can essentially say what they need and have people that have cars that are at less high risk go and buy groceries or like deliver them to people that need to stay in their house. So I'm one of those people that not just am I self-isolating because I don't want to spread it to other people, even though I look relatively healthy and I am generally relatively healthy, I'm immunosuppressed. So I pretty much can't leave the house for who knows how long now. It's really a bummer. And it's one of those things where I have to remember that just because I feel relatively safe and healthy, I'm technically on paper exactly one of those high risk people. So, and one of my jobs is, of course, working in radio, and that, guess how radio funds itself. Advertising for concerts, none of which are happening in Portland lately. So, yeah. Annie said, I've seen a lot of people trying to buy gift cards. I think gift cards are a really awesome big one. If you have performing artists or people that are very gig reliant, that you really appreciate their work, go join whatever form of non-gig that they have. So if they have a Bandcamp, a Ko-Fi, a Patreon, even if you just want to buy some merch, that is a really great way to, because there's a lot of musicians that are really genuinely wondering if they're going to be able to make their rent this month. Annie says, I've been trying to get in touch with my local DSA to see if they're organizing local solidarity groups. Yeah, I think DSAs are really good. I think that some of the Food Not Bombs, typical method of which they deliver food is, of course, they cook in large groups and then they serve it to anybody who wants in public parks. Exactly the kind of thing that can't be done right now. And so some of them are trying to figure out if they can pivot to doing grocery delivery for folks. Erin says, I work in IT support across many industries. The people worrying the most are the big music promoters. They have millions tied up in festivals that are sold out but could easily be canceled. Yeah, Erin, on Thursday, 5 events that I was participating in the next 2 weeks were canceled. I mean, for me, it represents, a negligible amount of income. But overall, for everybody that was involved, it's more than $60K in lost revenue for one night that was canceled. It's, we're already seeing venues have to lay people off. It's a really big deal. People are worrying a lot. Conference organizers, I know a lot of people that are event promoters and bar owners. It's a really big deal. Annie said, yeah, I volunteer my time and effort on my Buy Nothing group for grocery delivery. Buy Nothing is probably a great example of something that right now it's already an existing community organization, and they're just trying to pivot and figure out ways to help. I think that's really helpful. There has been a couple threads on Twitter of people that are I'm a tipped employee, or oh, I'm someone that, I'm someone that makes a living and everything is just canceled gigs, where people have actually been dropping links. So that's good if you don't have any connections to anybody that specifically can help. And then the other thing is even if you can't help monetarily, if you are at lower risk, if you're able-bodied, if you're, younger than the age of 65, and you are able, even if you can't pay for groceries, just offering to deliver groceries, leave them outside people's doors so that you don't possibly pass things along. Older relatives, anybody that's housebound, or someone like me that can't leave, I'm covered, just so you know. I've had 3 people offer though, which I really appreciate. So Daffodil says, schools and nonprofits around here are organizing meals for kids who are out of school, which is a huge deal, which reminds me that I was planning to donate to one, but haven't yet. Yeah, that's another really big one, is that a lot of schools are closing, and for a lot of kids, that's actually all the meals in a day that they get. This is particularly true in the U.S. I don't know how true it is in other countries, because I don't know. I think maybe not all countries do their social support in the same way that we do, but yeah, free breakfast and lunch is such a large portion of nutritional support for kids, and they're not currently upping SNAP, which is our food stamps, are like what lets you go get groceries. They're not upping SNAP for people, even though we're all being told to stock up, and school food is getting cut. And so that's a really big deal. But a lot of Annie said other countries suck less. Yeah, that's not always true though. I worked in countries where lots of kids and adults went hungry, and yes, America does kind of suck a lot. Right now I'm feeling it a lot because I think it was Geeky Girl on the forums who lives in France who was essentially like, the government was extremely concerned about how people were going to pay their bills if they can't go to work with the shutdowns. And and that was like, I just had this moment of like, wouldn't it be nice if America thought about that? No, there's this expectation that if you work for a good company, you'll be covered. But like, we don't even have paid sick time when it's not a catastrophe. So Laura Johnson says, can we have friends over socially without being terrible people? Apparently not. That is not what the recommendations are. So essentially it said, if you live in a household with people, or if you agree to live in, like, have one other, like, couple that you only socialize with, or, like, one other family, and you essentially agree to be, like, a support unit and not see anybody else outside, that's okay. But the recommendation was, like, just because it's a small group of people, having people over does not actually put you at any less risk. And the reason that is because, one, people cannot show symptoms for a long time, but they actually give off, the current studies are showing that you're actually way more contagious during the part of the illness where you are showing zero symptoms, and you actually drop how many contagions you're giving out once you start showing symptoms. So that's one of the big issues. And the fact that for every person that's infected, they infect between 2 and 3 people. They're not totally sure, but that's more than double the normal infectiousness rate of the flu, combined with the fact that people are stealth as far as being sick. And so essentially it's very contagious, and you don't show symptoms when you're contagious. And so you're supposed to not hang out with friends, and it doesn't really matter how many people you're going to hang out with. Laura said, can I socialize my very extrovert kid with other neighborhood kids? Please don't trap me in the house with him for a month or more without outside contact. So that's the problem, is that, like, to stay safe, pretty much you're not supposed to. And I think that's the challenge that is facing us all. I think if you're in the situation where you're, I think that there is socialization that can involve not sharing germs, which can be done hopefully through the computer. I feel like all screen time restrictions for kids that are normally sane maybe should be lifted, but I'm not a health expert or a child psychology expert. But, like, I think the best ways to socialize without spreading contagions are through a screen. I'm really hoping nobody has to be stuck in their house for a month, but it's really looking like it's going to be a lot longer than that. So they're predicting the peak in the US right now is still 14 weeks away. So we have seen nothing yet. Quite a while ago, Annie asked for a donut review. I've just been eating it. Do you want to come eat your donut on screen?
Not really.
This donut is incredible. I should have gotten it earlier in the day, though.
Here is a donut. The light is really optimized for just you. I'm in the shadows here.
Annie says, I've never had so many video chats in 1 week in my life as I have this week. Yeah. Hey, it's gonna be okay. Phones. You know, as a millennial, I'm supposed to hate them, but I think phones are extremely helpful right now.
The tofu is really good.
Oh, yeah? How do you feel about this one?
Tofu cheddar.
Oh, it's got vegan cheese in it, too?
Mm-hmm. Vegan cheese, tofu scramble.
Would you like to get under the light?
No, I mean, I don't need to be, like, in the spotlight. This is pretty good, though. It's not actually sweet. I think it is actually, like, a... I don't know what.
Savory.
Savory.
That's the word you're looking for.
Tater tot on the top is a nice touch.
I know, you can't really like eat the tater tot and the donut at the same time, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just to look cute.
Mm-hmm.
Annie says, it's good. I've talked with friends I haven't talked to in a while. What I'm enjoying about this is you kind of know everybody else is stuck at home. By the way, he's not allowed to leave the house, so that's why we can sit this close to each other. I think it's nice to kind of know that everybody else is stuck in the same position right now, but apparently we all really do need to leave the house. Parecki Eats, a new channel idea?
No.
It would really just be eating nachos once or twice a week.
Speaking of...
Do you want nachos tonight?
It might be dinner.
We have to eat real food tonight. I
approve.
Anybody?
Oh, now you can see the inside of the donut. I can't make it focus from here, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
It's a very exciting donut.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a chair back.
This chair is an antique chair because I have, I'm very small and I have to have chairs from the 1930s when people had my proportions. Otherwise I can't touch the ground. But it's been updated with like new fabric and painted and everything. Annie says that nachos is real food, Aaron, and that it has veggies, protein, and carbs. It's true.
A lot of salt.
And a lot of salt. It's more about the frequency with which we eat nachos instead of like just vegetables, you know? And all the sodium. Also, we use soy riso in our nachos, and I'm not positive soy riso is actually food. Like, I think it's, especially because it comes in this tube to make it like look like chorizo. And I don't really know anything about chorizo either. And what's unnerving to me is that they both kind of look the same. Like
That's weird because I plugged it in too. Yeah.
I can tell. So the vegan cheese that we usually get has been sold out pretty consistently from Trader Joe's. And it like only works when you bake it. And like it's you have to bake it at 425, otherwise you can't eat it. And it's, I don't know, yeah, it's just a lot of oil. It's a lot of oil. It is very satisfying though. We've gotten to this problem where we treat nachos as a thing we deserve after like a hard day, which I think is great. I actually think it's like really nice to have something that you look forward to. And I don't get to have a lot of vices because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I just don't do a lot of interesting things. So as far as sins, I don't ever like to assign morality to food, and I don't think nachos are sinful. So I enjoy them as a thing that I can look forward to at the end of the day. But I don't know. I just don't know if we should eat nachos in such frequency. The problem is every day is a harder day than the day before this year. I feel like since 2016, we've been like, wow, what a year. And then like 2017 happened. We were like, wow, that really took the cake from 2016. And then 2018 happened and we were like, wow. And then now in 2020, it's like, it just keeps getting worse. And I feel like every day something new and unprecedented that makes me feel like we deserve nachos happens, but you can't eat nachos 7 days a week. Annie says, I've been doing prolific studies of out of boredom alone, but I'm also wondering because my industry is not as recession-proof as I liked. I did say that vegan cheese is made of nuts and hope and oil. That's what it's made of. It's just hoping that it's going to be better. No industry is recession-proof. Almost all industries experience contractions at some point. Some are what are called counter-cyclical, which means they'll do better when the rest of the economy is doing worse. And a great example of this is actually higher education tends to be counter-cyclical. And that's simply because if we experience a contraction, then a lot of people will want to, when unemployment is high, retrain, and so they'll go back to school. And so higher education usually expands. It's also something where lending doesn't tend to be tied to income. And lending, because it is backed by the federal government at a much higher level than, say, even the housing industry in the US, at least, the people are able and willing to take out student loans, even when they have no assets or no income, which is how we got into the last housing crisis, was that we let people buy houses, take out money for houses because of that. But that does make it an attractive option to go back to school. And it's even more an attractive option to go back to school if you live somewhere other than the US where it's not highway robbery to go back to school. Taylor said, I made a pie for today. Pretty sure the crust is paper mache. We'll see. Is it like a gluten-free crust? Is that why the crust is made of paper mache? Yes, I did say nuts and hope. Oh, regarding market, can you scroll up on this at all? Can you tell me what Annie said about the markets? Oh, yeah, perfect. Are there people not making jobs? Oh, no, it went away again. More.
There we go.
Regarding market, are there people not making job moves or side gig moves who are in chat or that anybody knows? There are side gigs right now, but I'm definitely not making any moves. I had been planning to make moves, and I think I'm going to sit where I'm. Something I'm really super good at. Aaron asks if I'm able to do record at home. It's possible my cat's about to jump down from her perch and knock over a light, so we'll find out. She's looking. Can you capture her or no?
She comes down. Oh.
She's really unsure because there's like I wish I could show you what's going on with the cat right now. She like wants to get down. Oh, there we go. We switched to the cat. She really wanted to get down, but she can't figure out how to get down because there's a light below it. This is more important than anything about the markets. Aaron, one of the problems with the radio show right now is that I actually work for the station too, and we do live broadcasting. But I can call in, but someone has to be there to run the board, but I'm at higher risk than other people, so. Can she make it? She did it!
Now she's stuck.
Oh no.
Oh.
Does it need a light? Or there's enough battery.
Now.
Kitty! Well, there we go. I'm gonna pick her up now. She gets to come on camera. I did promise cat. I think we all can look at my cat and then we are done with the live stream. She is very talented. Yes. Yes, you're very talented. She just woke up from a nap. She was working very hard on supervising from her shelf. Yes. She's like,
I think that's going to kill the stream if I do that.
okay, don't do that. Oh, we're back. Dora broke the stream. Yes, look at this. Actually, Aaron, that's a large portion of the earned revenue for the radio station I work at, is that we also do live streaming, both video and audio streaming over broadcast for events. Ah, super great. Really awesome. So I feel your pain. So one thing that we're pivoting to, which it depends on whether or not you feel personally safe doing it, but right now there are a lot of businesses that do gatherings that are trying to figure out how to deliver information and stuff to people despite this. And so we're already like pitching. One of the things we're trying to do to support the musician community is, offer them live sessions in our studio because it doesn't have a live audience, but we can record it and we can put it out both on the radio station, but we also can record it on video. We have what's called a TriCaster. If you're familiar, I don't know if you know too much about broadcast equipment, but we have a TriCaster, which is kind of like the industry standard in TV broadcasting. And so we can't actually push out to TV, but we can also push out to YouTube and stuff. So we're pivoting into that. But one of the other things is that some events are now trying to figure out, like some businesses are trying to figure out, like, crap, we have to shut down our yoga studio, but we still want to be able to offer something to people, but they're not streaming experts. They don't have the cameras. They don't have the equipment. They're going to try to do it on their iPad and they're going to fail miserably. And so this is one of those things that I think there is a real solution to do there. So Aaron says, I was thinking about pivoting to live streaming, but I don't want to come across as exploitative. I don't think it's exploitative. I think it's solving a problem in the market, right? Like, if you know what you're doing or are willing to figure it out, as is true often with entrepreneurship, then you're solving a need in the market for people, right? Like, there are a lot of businesses that are extremely scared right now because their whole business model is based on getting people to come to places. And I think as long as you're providing a solution, you shouldn't think of it as exploitative at all. I think you should think of it as, hey, I'm trying to solve a problem right now. And I think the other big advantages of doing it right now is it's going to continue to be a useful skill after we kind of get through this crisis. But you said you work in IT, so you're already exposed to people in a lot of industries. So you're probably going to become aware of the different things that people want to do right now. Approaching the Crest said, I would very much like my yoga to be live streamed. I miss it already. See, there we go, right there. Like, you could just focus on the niche of yoga studios and be like, hey, I will come in, twice a day as long as you don't have coronavirus, yoga instructor. And we'll record you doing live stream yoga. I mean, I think that sounds like a great niche. I would love it. I know a lot of people right now, myself included, that are trying to figure out how to exercise when they can't go out and do things. I think it's exploitative if you were buying, masks needed for healthcare workers at a low rate, hoarding them, and then selling them at a gouging market. Yes, that would be exploitative. It's not exploitative to say, hey, businesses that are trying to figure out how to still serve people and conduct their business in a very scary time, I have a skill set that can help. So I think someone else, Aaron, imagine if you could allow someone to have a concert, even if it's out of their home, like for a singer or songwriter. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is really helpful. Like, there's a lot of people, like, one of the things we're trying to do right now is figure out how we can help and support performing artists and musicians. And one of the things that we can do with the radio station is, like, a lot of them already have some kind of mechanisms for ongoing support set up, like through Patreon or Ko-Fi. But you can have them offer perks to people, which could be live concerts and stuff. There are so many people right now that are at home bored and also very concerned about, people that they were already previously planning on giving money to. It's a time of uncertainty for everyone. And I think that I heard an economist say something the other day that I thought was very smart, which was that, one, this is not the same as 2008, because in 2008, we had bank failures going on. We don't have any bank failures going on. So, bear that in mind. We don't actually have any industries collapsing right now. The problem is the reason that we are having market contraction right now is that in order to save our lives, we have to have an economic slowdown. We literally need people to stop doing things. And the definition of that is an economic slowdown. So, of course, we are going to have limited growth in markets. The only industry that's going to be seeing expansion right now is the healthcare industry, and that ain't good right now. And the fact in the US that that's a real commercial industry is its own problem, and we'll move on from that. So, yeah, I think that's true. Chicano Azteca said, your lighting is awesome. Well, props to my lighting master, who was on the camera earlier eating that. Someone down below said something about it would have been a good idea last year. Don P. Oh, it's Don P. It would have been would it have been a good idea last year to invest in that if that had a fair chance of surviving this month's free fall? What would have been? I mean, I hate to say this. This is a thing that, like, I am very conflicted about as someone who tries to be an ethical investor but doesn't believe in quote unquote responsible investing, as far as, like, I don't believe in doing sustainability mutual funds because my definition of what's sustainable or doing retail investing doesn't necessarily match whoever makes that fund. However, I'm still, like, a person that's conflicted in the fact that such a large portion of the economy in the United States is healthcare. And right now, healthcare is going to be doing great. But as far as retail investing, as far as surviving the free fall, I do know someone who bought Zoom stock, which I thought was pretty clever. It's just funny in and of itself, like, as far as, like, a stock to buy. I don't tend to do retail investing. I'm not a fan of buying individual companies. I like to buy the index of the market as a whole. And I also don't like to bet on picking winners. I just generally think that, one of the things, like, sure, Zoom is doing great right now, like, because it's a remote collaboration tool and everybody's stuck in their house for the next 6 months. But but you don't know what's going to happen with the market overall. You don't know if suddenly all Google is doing is focusing on building out Google Hangouts and is going to provide it for free for everyone and is going to be able to squash it because they have an army of developers they can put on anything they want at any given moment. It's hard to know the ins and outs of the markets, and if you do, it's usually insider trading. So, yes. Invest in cats. I think investing in cats is a really solid idea, because other than the fact that they try to eat your cords, they're very cute and they help. And also, they genuinely do not care about the fact that you're in the house all day. They think this is very normal behavior. Also, big fan of sitting on the couch, and they like to help when you do yoga. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see what's going to be happening. I am no health expert, and I'm only mildly an economics expert. And these are definitely interesting times we live in right now. Daffodil said they're still cute even when they're eating your cords. Yes, this is true. I am covered. My face is covered in cat hair now. Covered. It's just, like, everywhere. There's lights in here so I can just, like, see it floating through the air. All right. Well, I guess we've been online for a while now. Yeah, this has been like an hour. So, should I finish this donut before I get off this live stream? Did people see my really cute sticker, by the way? I don't know if I had these last time, but... Rain Queen says, send cats. I mean, get a cat. Get a cat. Leave isolation. Get a cat. Bring home. You will have all the time to play with the kitten. It's a solid idea. Don't worry about any long-term impacts of taking a cat. Just jump ahead. Dive into it. Don P says Purrington Cat Cafe. Actually, a lot of cat cafes have shut down right now because the way they make money is entry fees, and obviously having people in close quarters. Very interesting things are going on the shelf. She's supervising now. Can we show off supervising, or is that camera gonna break the stream? Oh, Aaron says I will bounce soon. It's 1 a.m. here. Oh, yes. I forgot you said you were in Northern Ireland, and that is like the time zone that I screwed over with this. So we alternate every live stream. I try to alternate between a time that works for Western Australians and then a time that works for Europeans. And I try to always make the West Coast US work since I live here. And so we tend to alternate, but I guess everybody's schedule is pretty screwed up. I know mine is already screwed up. Yes. Okay, well, Aaron, I wish you luck with trying to cope on how your Apple service store is going to cope. Hopefully you get Sunday off. I'm assuming if you're in Northern Ireland, you probably do. And stay safe. Everybody wash your hands a lot. Stay hydrated. Wash your hands again for like actually 20 seconds. And, don't leave your house. Tip any service workers you see just on the street. Just tip them. Daffodil recommends getting more than one cat. If I have another cat next time we have a live stream, you'll know why. All right, everyone, stay safe. Wash your hands. Have a good evening. We're on the Oh My Dollar forums and also the Discord if you want to. I don't know what's different about Discord, but I guess we have voice chat over there. So see y'all later. Bye.